President Trump brokers another historic peace deal as we get a very important update with possible stimulus rebate checks, money that could go all the way up to $2,400. I have an expert who talked about the high possibility of this happening, so make sure to stick around until the end. But real quick, if you want to keep yourself informed with Social Security, US politics, and worldwide news that affects us, then be sure to subscribe and become a civic patriot today.
In this momentous joint declaration, it's a tremendously important document, and it's been a long time in coming. They were explaining before that so many times they thought they could get there. It never happened, just never happened. For more than 35 years, Armenia and Azerbaijan have fought a bitter conflict that resulted in tremendous suffering for both nations. They suffered gravely for so many years. Many tried to find a resolution, including the European Union. The Russians worked very hard on it, never happened. Sleepy Joe Biden tried, but you know what happened there. He tried for probably 12 minutes and didn't work out.
Now, I know that not all of us like the president, but just to give you a short tally, he's brokered peace deals between India and Pakistan, Thailand and Cambodia, Israel and Iran, and now Armenia and Azerbaijan. We have to give him some credit for being a president who doesn't support conflict or wars, and he's doing it within the first months of his second term. It's no secret that wars lead to economic chaos, while peace brings economic certainty. This latest one has the Prime Minister of Armenia together with the President of Azerbaijan calling for the president to receive a Nobel Peace Prize.
I think President Trump deserved to have a Nobel Peace Prize, and we will defend that, and we will promote for that, and that's obvious. So, and today's event, I think, is a very bright expression of that, and hopefully you will invite us to
front row. You'll be front row.
Yeah.
From the leaders of the countries which were at war for more than 3 decades, having this historic signature here, it really means a lot. This is tangible result of President Trump's leadership, and no one could have achieved that. There have been many presidents here since beginning of 90s, and the so-called Minsk process, which, by the way, today we put an end to with my Armenian colleague, started in 1992. So negotiation under the auspices of OSCE continued for more than 3 decades without any result. So who, if not President Trump, deserves the Nobel Peace Prize?
And that's what we need right now, actual results, because we can say whatever we want to say, but the results will always speak for itself. On that note, many economists are still talking about doom and gloom when it comes to tariffs. However, there are those who experienced it firsthand, businesses that claim that everything is gonna be fine, and that it's possible that we see a little extra cash in our pockets once all of the trades have been said and done.
I built a company that served 40 million Americans every day called GMM, and we were very impacted by the tariffs in 2018 and 2019. And I was doing a lot of media back then complaining about the tariffs, saying this is going to crash the economy, saying it's going to cause a recession, saying it's going to cause inflation. But the reality is it didn't. And so now when President Trump enacted these, I have that firsthand experience where I don't actually believe that all of the doomsday people who are complaining about these things really have it right.
Americans expected to pay an average of 18.3% more for imported products, as I just shared before I brought you in here. These checks would be giving back $600 per adult. So could one make the argument, though, that if these rebate checks do happen, because again, this is still proposed right now, how beneficial is this really going to be for the taxpayer?
Well, I think that, as someone who has built these businesses that are very close to the consumer, what we know is that when the consumer has more capital in their pocket, there's more growth. I've seen that at GMM. I've seen that with all the recent startup deals that I invest in. And this is the key thing. This is maybe the first time ever where consumers would get a check in the mail, which is deficit neutral. This is the first time that we're talking about having money going to people that was not actually raised in our own treasury. So I think that that's a very important thing for people who may not even understand on Main Street, well, what is a tariff? But when they get a check in the mail, they're going to like that. And number two, when they come to understand that money actually came from foreign governments who are trying to sell into America, I think that it's going to be pretty pro-growth.
So we have businesses who are telling us that these tariffs won't crash the economy, and if this bill passes, then we should expect a few checks in our mail. Money that could go up to $2,400 per family. Right now, the legislation suggests providing $600 rebate checks per adult and dependent child. So it's possible that a family of 3 could get $1,800, and at the very least, a married couple would get $1,200. But that's not the best part of this story. I have to go back a few months for this report. Do you remember when President Trump talked about eliminating income tax? If you ask me, that's better than sending us these checks.
You know, the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens.
This seems to be the possible end game for tariffs, and we're talking about it because I don't want any of you to forget. At this point, we have to have some accountability when it comes to these promises, but it would take hundreds of billions of dollars to even provide cash rebates in the first place. How are we expected to believe that the Trump administration can actually get this done? Well, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick claims that the U.S. is set to make billions of dollars each month with tariffs, and at this point, he's not seeing much pushback from other countries.
So last month it averaged just over $30 billion, and as of last night, midnight, the tariffs went up. I think we're going to be heading towards $50 billion a month in tariff revenue that no one's talked about except for the president. So think about $50 billion a month, and that's where we are now. And then you're going to get the semiconductors, you're going to get pharmaceuticals, you're going to get all sorts of additional tariff money coming in. And as the president says, this could continue to head towards and ultimately reach $1 trillion. I mean, these are amazing numbers for the United States of America, and no one's retaliating. Everybody understands you've got to sell to the American consumer. The American consumer is the most powerful factor in the earth for the economy, and Donald Trump is harnessing it for the benefit of the American people.
That's one of our biggest strengths. Countries fear losing out on American consumers just because of the fact that our economy is bigger than any of theirs. And that's exactly why the president has gotten all of these good deals, together with the promise of companies bringing back their businesses from offshore, which would then open up even more jobs for Americans here at home. Now, I understand that some might be pessimistic about these updates, but again, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens next. We're going to base our judgment on actual results, and we're going to remind them what they promised to all of us. If you want to stay updated with all of that, then make sure to subscribe and share this with all of your friends. As always, thank you for your time. Talk to you in the next update.